In this podcast episode, Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of FTX, shares his experiences of life in prison, his reflections on the political landscape, and the complexities of the cryptocurrency world. The conversation delves into various topics, including his interactions with fellow inmates, the challenges of navigating the legal system, and his thoughts on the future of cryptocurrency. Bankman-Fried describes his current situation in MDC Brooklyn, where he has been incarcerated for approximately 2 years. He characterizes the environment as dystopian, noting that while he does not feel physically threatened, the experience is mentally taxing. He acknowledges the efforts of some staff members to provide assistance, but emphasizes that no one wants to be in prison. The lack of meaningful activities and the monotony of daily life weigh heavily on him, leading to a sense of despair. He recounts the logistical challenges he faced during his trial, including being transported at odd hours and spending long periods in holding cells. This made it nearly impossible to prepare adequately for his legal defense. When not in court, he tries to occupy his time by reading, playing chess, and working on his case, but the overall lack of stimulation is disheartening. Throughout his time in prison, Bankman-Fried has had the opportunity to reflect on his past communication style, particularly during the early days of the crisis surrounding FTX. He admits that he struggled to convey his thoughts effectively and often became overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information he was trying to manage. This self-awareness has led him to reassess how he engages with the world, especially in light of the public scrutiny he faces. He also discusses the perception of his demeanor during interviews prior to his incarceration, suggesting that he appeared more frantic and less composed than he feels now. This change in perspective is partly due to the time he has spent in prison, which has forced him to slow down and think critically about his actions and their consequences. A significant portion of the conversation revolves around Bankman-Fried's political contributions and the subsequent betrayal he feels from the Democratic Party. He reflects on his past support for Democratic candidates, including Joe Biden, and expresses disappointment in how his contributions did not yield the expected support during his legal troubles. He notes that many of his former allies in the party have distanced themselves from him, leaving him feeling abandoned. Bankman-Fried speculates on the reasons behind this political betrayal, suggesting that his shift towards supporting Republican candidates may have played a role. He describes his experiences in Washington, D.C., where he witnessed a political landscape that he found increasingly troubling. The conversation touches on the broader implications of political alliances and the transactional nature of political support. As a former leader in the cryptocurrency space, Bankman-Fried shares his thoughts on the future of digital currencies and the regulatory environment surrounding them. He acknowledges the challenges that the industry faces, particularly in the United States, where regulatory bodies have been slow to adapt to the rapidly evolving landscape. He expresses hope that the industry can overcome these hurdles and become a more integral part of the global financial system. Bankman-Fried also reflects on the initial promise of cryptocurrency as a means of financial freedom and privacy. He laments that this vision has not fully materialized, with many cryptocurrencies becoming entangled in regulatory issues and market volatility. He emphasizes the need for a balanced approach to regulation that allows for innovation while protecting consumers. Throughout the podcast, Bankman-Fried touches on his relationships with fellow inmates, including the well-known rapper Diddy, who is also incarcerated in the same facility. He describes Diddy as a kind individual who, like many others in prison, is navigating a difficult situation. The camaraderie among inmates, despite their varied backgrounds, provides a sense of connection in an otherwise isolating environment. He reflects on the lack of support from former colleagues and friends, noting that many have chosen to distance themselves from him as his legal troubles escalated. This sense of abandonment is compounded by the realization that those who once benefited from his generosity are now unwilling to offer him assistance in his time of need.